Yo, what's up everyone, it's Blue Nova and I'm here to bring you guys our first Q&A. I guess it'll be episode 1. So we're gonna go ahead and answer all these questions that you guys dropped before. But if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon so that you're notified every time there's a new video. But let's go ahead and jump into these questions. So our first question is by Canon Ihi. Sorry if I got the name wrong. But the question is, hey yo, what's good bro? I wanted to know, how do you make sure all the songs in your project have the same volume and loudness, especially when you got beats from different producers with different styles of mastering beats? Really what you want to do is have something like a multi-band compressor. You can use Maximus and FL Studio, or you can use a third-party plugin such as Ozone, iZotope Ozone, and that can enable you to adjust the low, mid and high frequencies so that it matches in with your vocals. So technique I use is just to solo each band and just to play my vocals with it and make sure that those certain regions sound good with my vocals. After you do that, you just want to play everything together and then just make sure that you have a pretty good mix with it. So that's as far as what I do in order to achieve the same volume. Most of the time my vocals will sit at -3 because I like my vocals and mix to be pretty loud. So if I'm doing that, I just make sure use just a multi-band compressor and just make sure everything fits well with the vocals at the level. So that's my answer to it. So the second question is by Money Milk. The question is, what are your tips for professional sounding singing vocals as far as making them sound authentic? As far as making them sound authentic, first of all, it's the energy you bring to the track. You want to make sure you're singing very clear and open, and also you just got to know what your style is. As far as making them sound authentic, you can use certain artists as a reference, such as like, I guess you could say like Tame Impala. He has like a very dope style effect to his vocals. Travis Scott, very great example to use. What you notice, as far as this is a good example, but Travis Scott's vocals in 5% tint, there's like a delay in his vocals and it gives it a different kind of authentic sound as opposed to, like the normal processing that we usually hear in most songs. But you want to listen to people like Tame Impala that have like that 80s style vocal feel, or something like Childish Gambino. He has some dope vocal effects sometimes too. So as far as using stuff like a delay, a doubler, and just something in FL Studio like a fruity chorus to make it sound a little bit more wide, or give it a different kind of sound to it. So it's really just up for how you experiment, but like I said, a doubler, a delay, or some type of chorus can make it sound a little bit more authentic. So our third question is by Linkart. He said, generic question, but how do you go about achieving loudness on your tracks? Been sub for a while, I learned a lot from your content. Alright, first of all, I appreciate you for subscribing to the channel. And to answer your question, as far as achieving the loudness you want in your tracks, if you're just mixing your beats, you want to have something like a soft clipper where it's where your beats can maintain being loud, as opposed to having like a limiter, which kind of kills the dynamics. So you want to have a soft clipper on your master channel in order to at least keep the natural sound of your mix. As far as if you mix pretty low and you're trying to have like a loud master track, you want to use something, as far as what I use is like iZotope Ozone, and I use like the maximizer, and I probably increase the gain probably about like 3 decibels. If my melodies are probably sitting at like -9 and my bass at -9, I make sure that I probably increase it by 3 decibels and just work with the with how hard the clipping is. So most of the time it's probably, just off the top of my head, I think it's usually around like at 4. Sometimes if I want to maintain like the hard and crispiness of the track, I'll probably bring it down to maybe like at 2, just so that it clips a little bit but not too much. So as far as mixing your beats, you want to keep a soft clipper, and then as far as mastering it and just get a louder sound, you can increase it by 3 decibels, and just to keep the same numerical value. Some people probably would just say just adjust it to your liking, to the sound you want it to, but most of the time I just do it to 3 decibels if I have everything at -9 as far as my melodies. But that's my tip on that as far as getting the loudness on it. Alright, so the fourth question is by Veluxty. How do you get more people to notice your music and grow as an artist? Okay, that's a great question. So in order to get more people to recognize your music, what you want to do is first have something about you that stands out. You know, you want to have music that's a little bit different from the rest of your crowd. But first, in order to get some recognition, you want to do stuff that people know you off of. So, for example, you know, what I do from time to time, I do covers of different songs. And just doing that, more people can recognize me as an artist and notice my sound. So sometimes it's kind of cool to do a few covers and remixes, and that builds some recognition. And sometimes people might like your cover more than the original song, so that helps as far as, you know, just the basis. Now, to expand on that, you want to have good quality images and thumbnails to your songs. Nobody will really pull towards your music if you have bad visuals. So you want to make sure you have a good artist, or you need to start learning how to design yourself so that you have images that pertain or is, you know, well suited to the song that you're trying to reach out to your crowd. So that's really my tip on that. Just make sure you do some things that, you know, that people know you off of, and then just to build on top of that and just, you know, start building your own brand and creativity off of whatever you enjoy. Okay, so our next question is by O'Kane, and the question is, how do you get a different vibe in your vocals when it's in the form of a normal rap verse or a singing verse, happy, sad, or hype? So in order to get, I guess you could say, like a different vibe, it's really the energy you bring to your track. And you know, sometimes it's not even just that, it's also the engineering. So for example, we're gonna use Black as an example. So his voice is very chill and, you know, kind of monotone in most of his songs, but it's really his engineering, or whoever his engineer is, that makes his vocal sound, you know, just really stand out. So most of the time you notice in his voice, it's like I said, very chill, but then his vocals sound wide and you know, just crispy at the same time. So what you need to understand is the kind of cadence that you're gonna bring on the song, and also your engineering. Your engineering is very, very important as far as making sure you're getting the sound that you want. And it's kind of hard to explain something like this without like a audio, or I guess, you know, like a visual presentation. But as far as to explain it, it's really the energy you bring to the track. You know, you just got to be energetic, or you just got to fit that certain mood for the beat that you have. So I hope that answers that question. So our next question is by Aceto OG. He asks, how can I start in the music industry? So in order to really just start in music, I guess what you need to do is you need to start doing things people recognize you for. I know I answered this earlier, but you know, people won't find you just based off of you throwing out or putting out a song. It's very rare that, you know, you put out a few songs and you start building, you know, a fan base off of that. You need to start doing, like I said, covers, remixes. You need to start doing things, you know, probably like meme related songs. For example, like Lil Nas X, you know, his music before, if you listen to his music before, as opposed to listen to Old Town Road and all his other songs after, you notice that his music is not the same. And you know what, his music kind of comes off, you know, Old Town Road is kind of like a meme song. It's kind of like a joke, but he didn't know it would blow up to the point that it did. So you need to have something people will recognize you for. You need to have something that'll stand out about you, or something that's different. And you know, people will pull, or you know, just gravitate towards you once you start doing that thing. You're really just consistent with it all the time. So that's the way how you can start in music industry. Just have something people can base you off of and recognize you for. So our next question is by Sober. So the question is, how long did it take you to make your first beat sale, and how long have you been making beats? So I actually really like this question. So my first beat sale technically is when I was probably maybe 13 or 14, but that was with some guys in my neighborhood. When I first sold my first beat, it sounds really weird to say, but that was probably, I guess, around 2013, when I was a little bit, you know, more active on YouTube, when I started, you know, uploading content. That's when I made my first beat sale. It wasn't even with Airbit or any kind of player. I was just using the PayPal link, putting in the description and saying, you know, buy. I think that's before even like Airbit, or it was known as My Flash Store at the point. But it was around 2016 when I got Airbit. And after I signed up, the next morning when I woke up, I think I already had a sale or two. So it's really because I also have a lot of beats online on YouTube, so that's another thing. You just need to be consistent, have good quality work, and be known for a certain style. With me, I kind of make beats all over the place. I can go from trap one day to probably pop or whatever, R&B the next day. So it's also kind of good to stay in your own lane and know what best fits you, so that people know you for that, and your beat sales will be more consistent because you'll have a demographic of people. So I hope that answers that question. The next question is by Laycard, and the question is, can you make a DJ Khaled I'm the One type beat and a face reveal? If you need a type beat in that style, then you can just email me, bluenovabeats@gmail.com, and I can try to get something custom made for you. The face reveal, I think everybody wants I think everybody really wants a face reveal. I'm probably not gonna do a face reveal on YouTube until I get, you know, first music video done. So whenever that is, then that's when you guys will see my face. So yeah. So the next question is by DJ. The question is, how do you get started making money off of your music? So as far as making money off of your music, you want to have something like DistroKid or TuneCore. What I use is DistroKid because it's very user friendly, and plus the uploading process of doing everything is very simple. So with DistroKid, as soon as I upload a song, it has many options. And keep in mind, I'm not being sponsored by these guys or anything. It's just as far as just to share the information. So with DistroKid, just upload your song, and then it has, you know, various options such as where you want to upload it to, such as like Amazon, iTunes, Apple Music, you know, Spotify, just the major platforms. And once you do that, it also has other options such as do you want to upload to YouTube? And I think it's probably like an additional fee. I think it's like 99 cents or something. But once you do that, you can start making money off of your music by streams online. And it'll also give you a breakdown of how much money you're making off of each platform, such as Spotify, iTunes, and all that. So like I said, I use DistroKid, and it lets you know as far as how much money you're making. As far as SoundCloud monetization, you can sign up for, you know, something like Repost Network. That's what I use, and it monetizes my music and tells me how much I'm making each month with my streams. So, you know, you can use Repost Network and also DistroKid. And like I said, not sponsored by these people, but you know, it's good information to share. Now the last question is by SarahPick18. Are you interested doing beat for me, only for me, for free? Heck nah, you better go on buy a beat, bluenovabeats.com. You already know what time it is. Hey, but I appreciate everyone for submitting a question. Also put in the comment section other questions that you do want to have in the next video. Like I said, this is episode 1, so episode 2 we're gonna get more in depth. You guys send me whatever you have in mind, and like I said, do not leave without hitting the like button and subscribe button. Thank you guys for commenting, taking the time to do so. I'll catch you guys on episode 2. Let's get it.